10,000 people have registered for this class.
You can do it right there.
Where else am I going to do it? The bathroom?
I did one against, well, you're not trying to sit, but I did one, like I said, against the wall. That little table.
Hey folks, thanks for joining in today. We're going to give it a couple minutes before we start kicking things off. So we're excited to have you. We'll start here in just a couple minutes. Hey folks, thanks for joining in today. We will be kicking off here in about 2 minutes, so we will be starting here soon. Okay, I'm gonna get things kicked off here. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming to Digital Marketing, Key Metrics and Concepts. We're very excited to have you today. Before we kick off, I wanted to tell you a little bit about General Assembly. So General Assembly is a global education company. Our whole mission is to help people find the work that they love through education. We've got about 22 campuses in the US, and we've got some worldwide as well. You can see UK, Paris, Singapore, Australia. We are still expanding. So if we don't have a location near you, maybe we will be soon enough. And so what we teach, we've got full immersive courses in software engineering, user experience design, data science, and then we also have part-time courses in data analytics, digital marketing, product management, Python, front-end web. So keep your eyes peeled if you are looking to pivot in your career. We also do short form classes similar to the one that you are attending today, where you can come on a weekend or just take something for 2 hours, a couple hours, or during the evenings, and just upskill and learn and try and better in your career. And so before we kind of kick off the class today, I do want to go over a few meeting norms. You will notice at the bottom of the YouTube page, there is a Google form list or a link. So if you do have questions, please feel free to throw them in that form. Yep, so go down on the YouTube and you'll see it in that description. And so we will be answering those throughout. I believe we've mentioned this, or this might be my first time mentioning this actually, but this event will be recorded, and we'll make sure that we will send you the deck along with the recording, so you can refer back to this if you have any questions or if you want to just revisit a concept. Like I said, any additional resources will be sent in a follow-up email. If you'd like to get involved in more General Assembly classes, you can go to ga.co/education. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the ball over to Alex. Alex, you ready to dive into some digital marketing key concepts?
Digital marketing at 8 a.m. on the West Coast here on a Friday. Yes, I'm totally down.
Awesome.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Alper. I am going to teach you this exciting class. But first, I'm going to share my screen so we can look at this deck. My desktop is not normally this clean, but I cleaned it for you guys, because I care. Okay. All right, let's begin, you guys. So today's class, digital marketing, key concepts and metrics. All right, what are we going to learn today? First, we're going to learn where to put this thing. There we go. We're going to go over digital marketing techniques such as SEO. Hopefully you guys know what SEO stands for. It means search engine optimization. SEM, which is search engine marketing. We're going to talk about social media. We'll talk about email. And we'll talk about a lot of other stuff too. Also, CPC, CPM, CPA, CTR. What do these metrics mean for your business? And how do you measure them? That part, I'm not gonna lie, is not overly exciting. But then we'll get into more exciting stuff. We'll talk about targeting, tactics, evaluation, and optimization strategies. You guys, this is gonna be quick tips and best practices for each function. My parents have taken this class and my dad described it as basically I'm turning on a hose and everyone's getting really wet and some of it will seep in and some of it won't. This is really weird because I can't pause for applause here, but I'll get through it. All right, more importantly, oh, there we go. More importantly, me, I'm teaching this class. So here's everything you wanted to know about me. I'm an idea guy. I went to USC. I worked for, when I was in school, there was no such thing as digital marketing. So my background to begin with was in traditional marketing. I worked for the Angels for a long time doing marketing and promotions for them. I then left the Angels to work for now 53 different baseball, basketball, hockey, and football teams. I've created a top 3 Super Bowl commercial. I built the activation program for the NBA for State Farm in 2017. But more importantly, I had this amazing traditional background, but not a lot of digital background. It was basically learning from osmosis and from the younger people in the office. So many years ago, I took the 10-week General Assembly digital marketing class. And even though General Assembly is paying me to be here today, they are not paying me to say this. That class completely changed my life, gave me a better idea of what I wanted to do and how I can do it. I'm now a full-time digital marketing consultant. I work for big companies, small companies, sports teams as well, and everything in between. I'm no longer Google Analytics certified, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Okay, you guys, digital marketing. So what do we think of when we think of digital marketing? This would be where I would ask you guys questions, but you can't respond. But when we think of digital marketing, you guys, it's literally everything. Your phone is digital marketing. Your computer. It's almost impossible to run a marketing campaign these days without it having some sort of digital function in some way, shape, or form. And I imagine many of you were in the same place that I was many years ago. If you don't learn about digital marketing, it's going to pass you by. You cannot let it pass you by, you guys. It is amazing, and we'll talk about why throughout this exciting presentation. Unfortunately, there is no silver bullet for digital marketing. And what I mean by that is there's no perfect way to do it. I absolutely wish there was, but digital marketing is very much so just testing and learning. Testing and learning. You're literally throwing a bunch of darts at a dartboard, figuring out which ones stick and why, and then trying to optimize the ones that do. There is a process that we follow every single time in digital marketing, but the chance that you come up and then your first digital marketing campaign hit a home run and it's a complete success is probably not so good. It's all about testing and learning, testing and learning. But before you can develop an effective marketing strategy, first you need to deeply understand the business. And what do I mean by the business? It's really not overly difficult. First, it's your marketing environment. Where are you in this marketing environment? Are you a startup company and you've got a ton of funding? Are you a nonprofit and you can barely pay the bills? Are you a startup company with no money, which by the way, you need to go get some money? All of those things are going to make a difference. But ultimately, the most important part about marketing is your customer, because the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. And I'm probably going to say that 12 times during this presentation. The more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. Because all you need to know is who is your customer, what their needs are, and then, oh my goodness, how do I fulfill those needs? Many of you probably know this already, but it's ultimately all about the customer. I'm a sports guy. I have one sports question here. Are these companies marketing to the same customer? Raise your hand virtually. I guess you can't virtually. Raise your hand if you think the answer is yes, they're all marketing to the same person. Nike, Adidas, New Balance, yes, no? Hannah says no, they're not all marketing to the same person. And Hannah would be correct. Because what do we think of when we think of Nike? Hannah, what do you think of when you think of Nike?
When I think of Nike, I'd say I think of like young, sleek athletes.
Who do you think of when you think of Nike?
Maybe like the Ducks. That's like the first one that came to my mind.
Okay. We also have a picture there at General Assembly. I think the last chalkboard person on that wall behind you is Serena Williams.
Oh.
Yes, she is an endorser of Nike. Nike spends more money on endorsements and in using athletes to endorse their products than almost every other company combined. But when you think of Nike, you think of very much so like a super athlete. So if you're rocking a pair of Nike shoes, what are you most likely doing, Hannah?
Trying to be a super athlete.
Oh yeah, you're trying to do something athletic, right? And they know that. So the customer they're going after is someone who's doing something super athletic. They're trying to hit a ball like Ken Griffey Jr. or serve a tennis ball like Serena Williams or shoot a basketball like LeBron James. They're selling literally $155 shoes, if not more, because people want to be able to do the things that those people are doing. So Nike's going after the athlete, if not so the super athlete. All right, Hannah, because you're my only audience member, what do you think of when you think of Adidas?
Soccer.
That's fine, totally. Soccer. All day I dream about soccer. What about in this country? Who do you think of when you think of Adidas? I don't think of anything. It's totally fine.
I feel like it's more like casual wear now.
Ooh, it is. The people who are currently repping Adidas these days, one of the Jenners, doesn't really matter. But Pharrell, gosh, who else? All sorts of people, but none of those people are actually athletes. And they're still marketing towards athletes in some way, shape, or form, but really it's now become more of a lifestyle brand. So if you're not playing soccer twice a week like I used to do before quarantine, you could be rocking your Adidas shoes and going to the club because, hey, that's cool. It's a little more hip. It's a little more urban. All right, what about New Balance? What do you think of when you think of New Balance?
Like
Completely
your dad's white shoes.
Exactly. Your old, like it's an old person shoe, right? But New Balance shoes are for people that run long distances. These are the people who wake up super early in the morning to run 12 miles before they start their day. Is that you, Hannah?
That's what I was like. I was like, those are my running shoes are New Balance shoes.
There you go. New Balance is very specific on who they're marketing to, and they're marketing towards people that run, not only people that run, but people who run way too far. Those marathon runners and those idiots who wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to run 12 miles. It's very, very, very specific. The reason that we always associate them with dads and old people is because those shoes are ridiculously comfortable. They're literally made for someone to do something that they shouldn't do, which is run 26 plus miles. And that's why they're so comfortable. So even though each one of these companies are all making athletic shoes, each one is going after a very different customer, because the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. Oh, marketing, it's great. All right. Traditional versus digital marketing, you guys. So traditional marketing, ad spend has actually gone down. And in digital marketing, it has gone up. And it is only getting larger. So traditional marketing, if I wanted to reach 2,000 people, it would likely cost me over $2,000, as you can see on the screen here. Whereas in digital marketing, if I wanted to reach 2,000 people, it probably cost me $10 on social and maybe $15 on Google. So cost benefit analysis there. Obviously, you're getting more bang for your buck in digital marketing. Why are these things important, you guys? Why is digital marketing important? One is because you're getting real-time data and you're getting that back immediately. So if you create a product and you think it's going to be perfect for 21-year-old men, and you start doing all of your digital marketing and you start seeing who those people are that are actually clicking on it, and you find out that it's not 21-year-old men, it's 21-year-old women. All of that is going to be obviously very, very important for you as you then optimize your ads to make sure that you're actually going to reach that person that you are trying to reach. Also, it's ridiculously flexible. So if you, once again, are trying to reach that male, and unfortunately, you're reaching now all these females, maybe you change your picture, or you change your copy, or you change whatever it is that you're working on in relation to your ad so that you can actually start attracting the people that you want to attract. Targeting is also one of the main benefits of digital marketing. Gone are the days where you just advertise to everyone. And this is why digital marketing is so awesome, you guys, is because you can be very targeted on who you want to target. So if I want to target someone who went to USC, who went to, 15 Dodger games last year, who has a Shih Tzu and just bought some Warby Parker glasses, this person would be me. I could advertise very specifically to that person and all of the people in the entire world just like me. But the biggest and best reason for digital marketing is that last bullet point on there. It's a return on investment. So if your idiot boss says, oh, our customers aren't on Facebook, that's not true. Everyone is on Facebook. We're using it differently, and maybe they're just on Instagram, but those two things are combined, which we'll talk about later. But you can actually take that $100, create an ad on social media, and figure out how many people have clicked on it, if they came to your website, how much they purchased when they came to your website. You literally can show your return on investments. And that's the difference maker. That's why I went from traditional marketing to digital marketing. Okay, you guys, a lot. Questions? Do we have questions thus far, Hannah? How would I see those questions?
So far, the one that I have on here is, will we be covering retargeting? The other ones are more so about.
We can cover retargeting. You may need to prod me and remind me at some point in time, but yeah,
Sure.
Retargeting, I can talk about it now. Actually, retargeting is super important and one of the keys to digital marketing. On average, your retargeting campaign, digital marketing campaign, is going to have a 250% return on investment. So if someone comes to your website, you don't necessarily know who that person is. But when they come to your website, they basically leave a digital imprint called a cookie. And while they're there, you can then follow them to other websites. Because the goal in marketing is to drive people to your website, right? You don't want to lose them if they don't make a purchase on their very first time on your website. And on average, you guys, another fancy stat, 98% of the people who visit your website are not going to take an action. So only 2% of the people are going to sign up for your email list or actually purchase your product. What you need to do is when 98%, when all of those people leave, you need to start retargeting them. So that could be they're going to CNN to see what the Donald has said, and your ads are then showing up on the side. Because they now know who you are, or at least what your website does, you don't necessarily need to be all about brand awareness. You can be very specific on what they are actually looking at. So if they left at a certain part of your website or left looking at those shoes from Banana Republic, and then you go to CNN and, oh my gosh, those shoes are then following you, and then they follow you again when you go to Facebook to see what your mom is talking about, that is retargeting. And once again, a 250% return on investment. All right, you guys, if you have more questions, please put them into the comments. We have a ton of stuff to cover here. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we had a couple more pop in today. Will you be going over the best tools for comprehensive integration platforms or customer data platforms?
No. No, not as it relates to CRM. We can talk about some of those things, but you'll get a whole lot of information when we talk about email, actually.
Cool.
Anything
And
else?
another person's question was if we're going to cover email marketing. So
Yes,
perfect.
email marketing, you guys, is the jam. We will get there. But I also have a ridiculously long deck, which, by the way, all of you are going to get. So I'm going to rifle through as much as I can.
Cool.
Okay, you guys, the modern marketer, you guys. Your modern marketer is both part artist and part scientist. Both sides are very creative, but they are literally completely different than each other. Your artist, which is the side that I trend towards, these are your people that love to tell the story. This is your content creator, your social media manager, your copywriter, maybe even your graphic designer in some way, shape, or form. These people are all about telling the story. They're actually creating the ads. Then on the other side of the coin, you've got the marketing scientists. These are the people who love math, analytics. Oh my goodness. They want to jump in and see where everything is going. These people are your data scientists. Now they've even been called data ninjas. I didn't know you could actually be a ninja, but now you can be a data ninja. So congrats. If you want to do what I do, which is digital marketing, you have to have a combination of them both, because your marketing artist is going to create an ad and be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And your marketing scientist is going to be like, this ad sucked, only 2 people clicked on it. You have to understand what you're doing from the science standpoint so that you can then optimize to the artist's point, side point. However, you don't necessarily have to have both. You literally can just pick one. And there's plenty of agencies, plenty of places that you can go where you can get a job just focusing on the copywriting, on the content creating. There's probably even more so jobs on the scientist side, because so many people are doing digital marketing and don't really know what they're doing. And they're looking for those scientists to help analyze the data. But you guys, you must be comfortable with being uncomfortable in digital marketing. Literally everything changes by the day. I remember not that long ago, I went to log on to my MySpace account and it was gone. And my first friend, Tom, I think his name was, no email, no notification. Hey, by the way, we're just going to take this down. I was obviously crushed. But the same thing happens all the time on Facebook. Facebook is not the best at letting everyone know what is happening. You're literally going to log into your ad manager account one day and find out some way that your targeting is now gone because Facebook knows too much information about you. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is how digital marketing works. No one had any idea what TikTok was 2 years ago. And now everybody's dancing their faces off on TikTok. What's going to be the big next thing? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. And usually I teach this class in California. And so to calm the crowd, I show them pictures of avocados. These are avocados, you guys. And it is, like I would like to say, a ripe and amazing time to be a digital marketer right now. You could literally walk up or down the street. I'm in Napa right now, social distancing from those people back there. But you could walk up and down any of these streets in Napa, and most of these wineries, the restaurants, everything, they have a digital marketing aspect. They're doing some sort of digital marketing in some way, shape, or form. But very few, if any of them, are actually doing the things that they should. They're definitely not optimizing. That's why it is an amazing time to be a digital marketer. Okay. So let's get into more of the meat of this stuff, you guys. Paid, owned, and earned media. Okay, what is the difference between all of those things and why is it important for you? This is a fancy GA slide. Here's the digital marketing trifecta. Okay, owned media is the media that you own. It is your website. It is your blog site. It is your social media channels. If you are posting on social media and you're not paying for it, it's just, hey guys, I'm teaching a class at General Assembly today to 10,000 people that I can't see. You would post that on Facebook and it would go to a percentage of your followers. That is owned media. I'm not paying for it. I'm not getting anything back from it. It is owned media. On the other side of it, if I started paying for it, then it would be called paid media. And on average, if I have, okay, here's a question for Hannah. Hannah, if I have 10,000 followers on Facebook and I put a post out there, hey, I'm teaching a General Assembly class today. On average, how many of those 10,000 people are going to organically see my post? Take a guess. Anywhere from
Like-
0 to 10,000.
Like 20%?
20% is super high. That would be awesome. Like 2,000 people to see.
Mhm.
No, believe it or not, it's only 6%, you guys.
Wow.
6%. If I have 1,000 followers, it's going to be 60 people. If I have 10,000 followers, it's going to be 600 people. That's it, you guys. That's why paid media is so important, because Google and Facebook, they're in the business to do what? Make money. So you have to pay to play in digital marketing if you want to go over that 6%, especially on Facebook, but also Instagram, and the averages and are different for every single one. So paid media is when you're putting money behind it. And honestly, you guys, everyone should. Your basic everyday digital marketing campaign, you should be spending at least $5 a day on social media. You should be spending at least $10 a day on Google Ads. Because if you want something in this country or this world, what are you going to do to find it? You're going to Google it. You're crazy if you think you're going to be able to reach people without using Google. So you need to do both of those things. If there's 30 days in a month and I'm spending $5 a day, that's $150. All right. If I'm spending $10 a day on Google, that's $300. So we're looking at $450 a month for your very, 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 very basic digital marketing campaign. If you can't spend $15 a day on your own company, go find some funding, you guys. You got to do it. You got to do it. And then after that, you guys, it's earned media. Earned media is the most valuable type of media. That is when somebody shares, likes, comments on any of the stuff that you've done, because you literally can't buy that information. I mean, you can buy earned media, but don't do it because it's going to throw off your analytics. It's very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. Don't do it, you guys. It's going to mess up when you go to look at who are all the people that have been clicking on my stuff. And if you're paying a click farm to help increase your likes and your followers, and you try to figure out who that customer is, you're not going to be able to find out, because it's all going to be thrown off by whatever click farm in some foreign country is doing all this information for you. So yes, paid, earned, and owned media, you guys, super important. Once again, owned media, your posts, your tweets, your website, your paid media, your Facebook, your ads of any sort, you guys. But ultimately what you're trying to get is that earned media. Facebook used to be all about likes and follows and things to that degree. Now Facebook, and especially Instagram, is all about comments. They want you to comment. The more comments that you're getting in your post, the more popular, the more people it's going to show. So those horrible political posts that you see that have thousands of comments, that's what they want, because they know when somebody comments and says something that you may not agree with, you're going to jump right in there, like my friend Nate back there, and try to rip them to shreds on politics. And then they're going to comment back and forth. And ultimately, you're staying on their platform in order to do that. So earned media, very important, very important. All right, you guys, the marketing funnel. In marketing, we think in terms of a funnel, right? How many people are coming to our website for them to actually, how many people come to our website? 1,000 people to get 5 people to take an action. So if there was, this is an awesome slide, by the way, that shows you what the process is. So it's awareness, right? Brand awareness. Do I know that this website exists? Oh, maybe I'd be interested in going to that website. I'm considering making a purchase on this website. I'm probably going to make a purchase. I've already given them my credit card information, but wait, let me see if it's cheaper on Amazon. Then I'm going to come back and make my purchase. That whole marketing process in terms of a funnel, which is awesome. That funnel then goes down to a larger funnel towards the bottom, because somebody who's making a purchase now has the potential to be a brand advocate for you. Oh my gosh, I just bought these Allbirds shoes and they're so amazing. And I, after going through the top of the funnel, am now going towards the bottom of the funnel, because I want everyone to know, oh my God, these Allbirds shoes are so cool. And they are, but yeah. So that is the marketing funnel. Marketing channels. All right, so here's the channels. We're not going to talk about mobile. I tried to delete it and obviously did a horrible job. Here's some marketing channels that we're going to talk about. We'll talk about Google, We'll talk a little more about social media, and then, oh my God, you guys, email, which sounds horrible, but email's amazing. All right, you guys, SEO, search engine optimization, the science of building, designing, and writing your site content to rank higher in search engines. And then we'll pause for some questions after this SEO portion. So SEO is very important, you guys. And there's two different types of SEO. There's on-page SEO and there's off-page SEO. On-page SEO is called domain relevance, and off-page SEO is called domain authority. It used to be back in the day that Google just wanted to know what type of keywords that you had on your website. Are they the exact keywords that other people are searching for? And that is very important to make sure that you have those keywords, but it doesn't need to be those keywords very specifically, because Google, as we all know, keeps getting smarter and smarter. So if you're using a word that it'll also, let me come up with an example that also could be thought of as another word, like baseball hat. So if I'm using the word baseball hat because my website sells hats, I don't necessarily need to call it a baseball hat. I could call it a baseball cap. And Google would know the difference when I'm talking about hat. I'm also talking about cap. So your on-page SEO. This is very important because Google wants to make sure that everything on your website is working really well. They're not going to send someone to your website if your website sucks. They're just not going to do it. If there's a bad user experience, if there's broken links, if it just doesn't look good, if nobody signs up for anything, Google's going to be like, we don't want our customer, our user to have a bad experience. We'd rather send them to this other page. So you need to make sure that your page speed is really good, that your keywords are doing well, and that your content on your site is great. That's probably about 30% of the battle. Now Google, although they still care and it's still really important, they don't care as much as what everyone else thinks about your site. And that is off-page SEO. So if there's other websites that are talking about your site and they actually have a link on their site to your site, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This website is super popular. So if you have an article in the Wall Street Journal, and there's a link on that Wall Street Journal article to your website, Google is going to be like, oh my God, the Wall Street Journal has a link on their website to this person's website. Oh my gosh, we have to push them up in the rankings. We have to push them up in the rankings. Granted, if it's your mom's blog, obviously not as important as the Wall Street Journal, but that also counts as well. But you're going to get a whole lot more bang for your buck, so to speak, if it's the Wall Street Journal or something fancy. So domain relevance versus domain authority. Google, you guys, uses 200 different factors to figure out where your website is ranked. There's a ton of them, and here's just a couple of them. Relevant content is the stuff on your website actually talking about the stuff on your website. So if I have this baseball hat / cap company, I'm going to be talking about cotton and twill and flex fit. I'm not going to be talking about thermal dynamics and umbrellas and what have you, right? Google wants to understand what is actually on your website. Is your website mobile optimized? If your website is not mobile optimized, Google sent out an email numerous years ago and said, if your website isn't optimized for mobile, we're not even going to show it on our search engine. You're probably not going to do very well if your site doesn't show up on Google. After that, it's indexing. Indexing is kind of on the back end. It's something which we're not going to get into because I don't have enough time, but something you guys need to look out for. It's called metadata. I'm going to date myself here, but metadata is like cliff notes for your website. When Google tries to figure out what is on your website, they look at metadata. It's about 150, 160 character description of what is on that particular page. But ultimately, Google wants to know how popular you are. So the more popular your website is, the higher your ranking is going to be in Google. Google also wants to make sure that your website is being updated as much as humanly possible. If you're updating your website once a month, once a year, Google thinks that your website is an antique and doesn't need to be showing it to anyone. Literally, you guys, you should be updating your website every day, every week. it's not the more that you update, the higher you're going to get, but Google wants to know that you're constantly keeping to improve your website, constantly including more content. And if you do, you're going to rank higher in their search engine. But ultimately, at the end of the day, even though Google will 100% tell you, if you spend money with us, it will not increase your Google site ranking. However, every client I've ever had, if you spend money with Google, guess what? Your site ranking increases. You got to pay to play here in digital marketing, you guys, and Google's one of the ways that you have to do so. We'll talk about how you're going to do that here in just a second. But there's also, 194 other things that they look at. We know what all of those things are, and you can literally Google to find out what they are. What we don't know is how much each of them are weighted. But we know money is important. Okay. So when you are serving an ad on Google, and you can serve an ad through a couple different ways, which I'll show you here in a second. But one of the things that Google is going to do is they're going to give your website a Google quality score. And it is a combination of all of these things combined. They want to know how many people are coming to your landing page. Have you always been awesome, or are you relatively new? There's a ton of other factors. They also want to know how awesome your ads are. Did you just create a very basic ad that you're trying to serve to everyone? Or did you create an ad that is specifically meant for people who went to USC, who have a Shih Tzu and wear Warby Parker glasses? Because if you're very specific and you know who your customer is, Google's going to like those ads more because you're being very, very, very specific. Because you guys, like I said earlier, the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. It also has to do with your keyword relevancy. Are you trying to create an ad based on a keyword that isn't listed on your website? If that's happening, Google basically won't even display your ad. It has to be relevant to what you're doing. So if I'm advertising for baseball hats or baseball caps, I'm going to be using those same keywords that I talked about a second ago in my ads, because those keywords are also shown on my website. And then there's the click-through rate, you guys. How many people actually click on your ad and go to your website and maybe even make a purchase? The more people that do that, the more success that you have, the more that Google is going to like you and your website and try to show your ads more often. There's an awesome YouTube video that you guys can watch with this super nerdy guy named Hal, and he'll walk you through the whole process of how that works. It's 18 minutes long. We're obviously not going to do that today, but when you get this deck, make sure you watch that YouTube video. You'll probably have to watch it 2 or 3 times to get the whole grasp of it, but it's pretty awesome. It explains how the whole process works with the quality score. You don't need to spend more money than everyone else to have your ads shown, you guys. You just need better ads. So here's an example of an ad that we're going to talk about right now, the difference between a branded ad and a non-branded ad. We'll also talk about ad extensions and then some organic search. Organic search, super easy. If I open up Google and I ask a question, or if I'm looking for Levi's jeans, this is what I'm organically going to search. Is your ad going to show up when you search that? So this Nike here would be an example of a branded ad. An ad extension would be the little things underneath the ad, because people are probably searching for maybe basketball shoes, which is why the Kyrie 2 shoes, which are good looking, by the way, are showing up over here. Or maybe they're Googling in Colorado where Hannah is and it's cold, because it's also showing some fleece too. So it's all based on your location. Those are ad extensions that you can add into your ad. It's basically just adding more elements into your ad. The better and the more customers that your ads are tailored to, the happier you will make Google. The happier that you'll make Google, the more that they're going to show your ad. You guys, all of my clients that I've ever had, once they start spending money on Google, they never stop, because it always works. And Google uses their magic and all of their knowledge to make sure that they're sending customers to your ads. So once again, here's a branded ad. If somebody is searching for a company very specific, like General Electric, the first things that are going to they're going to show up are the GE specific sites. And then on the other side, it's very much so non-branded. So if I'm searching for jeans or appliances, these are the things that show up. if I was going to search for jeans, like Levi, if I just search for jeans, the ads that are going to show up are probably Levi's. It's also probably the stores that are located within this area. And it's quasi fancy, so it's going to be Nordstrom's and I don't know, maybe a mom and pop shop down the street if they're paying for Google ads. If I then use a branded term like Levi's jeans or Levi red 511 3030 jeans, being very specific, I'm probably going to get less ads because not as many people are searching for that exact keyword or keyword phrase. So once again, the more specific you are with your keywords and your keyword phrases, potentially you're going to have your ad shown more than everyone else. Keywords, you guys, is tough. You can take a 10-week class at General Assembly just on keywords. Here's another example of an ad extension from General Assembly. So if somebody searched for General Assembly, their ad shows up, but then here's the other offerings underneath it. You've got browse your courses, browse our courses, launch a new career, front-end web development. And oh my gosh, here we are on Google because it's all geo-targeted. That is a really good ad by General Assembly. They don't have the best email in the world, which we'll get to. Sorry, Hannah. Sorry, Annie, but we'll talk about General Assembly there. So if you're searching for the best pizza in New York City, you want to make sure that you have maybe a blog post about how your pizza is the best pizza in New York City, unless you've actually created a company like this company has, and it actually is called Best Pizza, which is actually pretty smart. The other thing is Google is automatically mobile optimized. They will mobile optimize your ads right away. It's awesome. This would be like an organic search. So I'm just looking for the best pizza in NYC. Okay. Do we have questions? More questions, Hannah, before I jump into display?
Sure. So I think one thing that I saw that came up that I'd like to bring up is we're talking a lot about B2C. Do you have any recommendations on B2B marketing and like how that differentiates from the funnel?
Sure. Yeah, so B2B is going to be a whole lot more tailored. And honestly, B2B works very similarly to B2C because you are going to be very targeted on who you are going after. And you can do so in using the Google marketing platform, using Google Ads, because you can literally talk to those people very specifically. So if you have a list of 50 companies that you want to talk to, when that company Googles themselves, potentially your ad could show up where you're talking very specifically to them. So I have a really good example of that. One of the guys that works at the Dollar Shave Club got his job because he figured out who would be hiring him, and he literally created an ad for that person. And when that person Googled themselves, an ad actually showed up that literally said, hey, I see that you're Googling yourself. Digital marketing is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And that guy got the job. You can use those sort of off the wall, but super creative ideas on the B2B side as well. But if you know you're going after owners of hotels, you can target those people very specifically through social media, or you can once again create an ad on Google based off of the questions that those people might be asking. And if you have a blog post or something within your website that is answering those questions, you may not even need an ad because they might be clicking to go to your website to answer those questions. I hope that helps. Anything else?
People also asked about like the retargeting and cookies when it comes to Google. So like, do people have to accept the cookies in order to be retargeted?
Yes, you do have to accept the cookies, and it works completely different now in the state of California than it does in other places. As a marketer, you guys, I definitely try to do as much as I can above the boards, but there's not really marketing police out there that are going to get you in trouble for some of these things. So in marketing, I like to do stuff and then apologize afterwards if for some reason I'm going to get in trouble. I'm not saying do things illegally or anything like that, but I would push the envelope as much as you can. There's a good chance no one's going to get you in trouble to do so. But we'll talk more about retargeting and cookies when we get to the end. Things you'll definitely want to have installed on your website are pixels. Facebook has a pixel. Google has a pixel, and it basically gives them the ability to look and see who these people are that are coming to your website. So if someone comes to your website and then goes to Facebook, Facebook will have an understanding who that person is and will serve them an ad very specifically, but you have to give Facebook access to do so. Same thing with Google. And you can literally Google how to insert those things onto your website. It's super easy.
Thank you. And I think another one that was pretty interesting was, so are influencers considered to be earned media, or no, because they're getting paid by these companies?
No, they're paid media, but they are definitely a source of earned media. You're paying them to work with them, but then everything that they do and all the likes and the followers and whatever type of buzz that they're building, that would be the earned media. The influencer game, you guys, is really tough. And honestly, a majority of those influencers are fakes. And a lot of their followings are probably just bots. You can Google, once again, I'm not going through this I can do a whole course on influencers, and maybe we will here at General Assembly. But yeah, the influencer game is very tough. You have to be very, very careful. Make sure you're getting a contract signed when you talk with an influencer. It's tough.
And then another one, this can be like the last one before we move on, because you have a lot of content. How does like a creative service, small shop, target like one customer when they might be new to the game and like are totally open to a lot of different customers?
Sure. So to begin with, you're just about it's the shotgun approach, you guys. You're literally shooting out and spreading as far as wide as you can when you're starting out, because you don't necessarily know who your customer is. But this is why digital marketing is so awesome, because when you shoot that shot and you start getting back all of this data, you can then learn through the data to figure out who these people are. And then you can start tailoring your ads. Honestly, you guys, every single client that I've ever had, the key for them, I'm going to tell you right now, is segmentation. The more you know about your customer, the better you're going to be able to advertise to them. And the biggest mistake that most companies make is they try to advertise to everyone all at once, when inherently all your customers are completely different. A 21-year-old male is going to be a whole lot different than potentially a 21-year-old female, right? Because those people are so different, they're going to need to be advertised differently. Someone who lives in the middle of the country is going to be completely different likely than that 21-year-old person who's living on the beach in Southern California, right? So you have to understand that, and you have to market to your audiences differently. We'll talk more about that when we get to email, but segmentation. But to begin with, you guys, definitely advertise to as many people as you can, get that information in, and figure out who your primary persona is. Your primary persona is the person who represents who a majority of your customers are. And that person could be that 21-year-old male, not me, who wears Warby Parker glasses, who goes to Dodger games, that type of person. And then you'll have a secondary and tertiary and everything after that. You obviously want all of those customers, but you definitely want to focus on who's bringing in a majority of your revenue, and that's going to be your primary persona.
Great, thanks, Doc. And I just want to reiterate too, we are recording this and we will be sharing this deck after. So if there's anything that you want us, that you're looking for, you can always come back to the recording in the deck. And if you do have questions, there's only like
100,000 of you on this call, I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think you can have my email address. I'm just a nice person. I'm happy to have.
Yeah, so we will be sharing this for those who've been asking, and questions, throw them in the form in the description on the YouTube page.
And thanks. Subscribe. Yeah. All right, you guys, display. Another one of those things that you can do through Google is display media, right? So once again, if I go to the New York Times or if I go to CNN to see what the Donald has said, and I've just visited Banana Republic and put some shoes in my cart and then decided I didn't want to pay $17 for shipping. Well, if I leave them in my cart, and most people do leave those things in your cart, then you go to a website, you can be retargeted. And one of the best ways to retarget is through display ads. Like General Assembly is showing over here on the right. But these display ads can end up anywhere from the New York Times to CNN. That we could do an entire class on programmatics and how display ads work. But if you've set up an AdWords account through Google, and all of you should try to do so and start spending money with Google, one of the other options that you have are using display ads. Display ads, you guys, people don't genuinely click on a display ad, but when you're retargeting and it's very specific what you are retargeting, like once again, those exact pair of shoes that you almost bought at Banana Republic, you are more likely to click on that than you are just a random Banana Republic ad, because that ad is specifically tailored for you. You can set up all of those things on the back end through Google, through the Google marketing platform, through AdWords as well. I have a lot of fun when I'm retargeting for my clients through display ads, because you can be a little more funny, because you need to stand out. I don't know if I'm going to click on that General Assembly ad, but there's obviously some things that you can do that would make it be somewhat entertaining. Like, hey, we're following you. We're going to keep following you, not to be creepy, but after a while, you either would laugh or be scared, but it is going to make you make an emotion. You're going to have emotion. You're going to click on it, and you're going to then go to your website or their website. Display ads, you guys. That one was super basic, but display and AdWords need to be a part of your overall marketing profile, and you can do all those things through the Google marketing platform. Google's awesome, you guys, and their customer service is amazing. They also have a tremendous amount of videos and free courses that you can take to learn how to do all of these things. Literally, all you need to do is Google, how do I do this, or how do I do this, and then go through Google to do that. We can include a link, or I'll include a link in this somehow, hopefully, to be able to show you the Google marketing platform and all the things that you can do. But I mean, obviously, you can do that, but if you really want to get the best bang for your buck, you should take that class at General Assembly too, because this is what people do. All right, you guys, social media, way fun. So 20 years ago, how did these brands engage with their customers? So this was before digital marketing. Hannah, how did these brands before digital marketing, how did they interact with their customers? Do you remember any of these things? Were you old enough to see any of these things?
Being a 7-year-old at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So without social media, like without digital marketing, without even a website, how are these companies doing what they did? How did they reach
I know
their
Pepsi tried to like reframe themselves as the new Coke.
They did, but how would they advertise?
Like billboards, or I guess
billboards,
like
television, radio. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
crazy? And just go with me on this one. Wouldn't it be crazy if there was a place where all your customers were? I know this is nuts. Not only all of your customers, but all of the people who might want to be a customers and their friends and their family all in one place. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be amazing.
It would be, right? And it's true. It's happening right now, you guys. It is social media. 20 years ago, social media didn't exist. None of these brands were able to reach out to their customers the way they wanted to. They had to send them direct mail. They had to advertise on TV, in a magazine, and just pray that their customer was going to find them. Now you can interact with those people. Social media, you guys, is an amazing place for you to be able to grow, nurture, and engage with your customer base. You should not be posting just to post. You need to be posting with a purpose, because like I said, 20 years ago, we didn't have these capabilities, and now we do. And most companies are not doing a very good job of interacting with their customers via social media. However, you guys, there's a ridiculous number of mediums, and there's probably new ones, and I can guarantee there's new ones being made right now. But here's what I would recommend doing. This is my favorite analogy for today's class. All of you hopefully have played the game Monopoly. I went to USC, we played it in every class. But in Monopoly, Hannah, do you remember Monopoly? This is another question for you. If you want to build a house or a hotel on Boardwalk, what 2 things do you need?
Oh, shoot. I haven't
When's
played
the last time you
Monopoly
played
in a
Monopoly?
while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I've kind of switched over to Settlers of Catan. So
Oh, okay.
I know you need like a certain amount of
Animal,
money,
cross
right?
animal. Yeah. So you need two things. You need to own the property, but you also need the property next to it. What's the property next to Boardwalk?
You're
Oh,
asking
wow.
me. I was like, I'm so bad at this right
Oh
now.
God, Park Place, Park Place. So in Monopoly,
Park
you have to have
Place.
all of the colors in order to build a house or a hotel on those particular ones. So like the crappy purple ones, the light blue ones on the corner, the red ones and the green ones on the right side of the board. The same thing is true in, thank you, Hannah. The same thing is true in social media. You guys, you should own every medium out there and you should put it in your company's name for a couple different reasons. One, you don't want another company with the same name to take out the Facebook page before you can. You don't necessarily need to advertise and use every single platform right away, but you should definitely put it in your name because you don't want to have, and I've dealt with a lot of clients that this has happened to, you don't want to have a Twitter account where it's underscore this and asterisk signs this. You want to make sure that they are all the same. And the best consistency, the best for you is to have consistency across the board. So take all of the mediums out there, the TikTok, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, those are everything. Google Plus doesn't exist anymore, but LinkedIn, make sure all of those things are consistent. You can assume, once again, who your customers are, but you won't really know who your customers are until you start using that platform, because each one of those platforms has their own version of analytics. So your Facebook customer is probably going to be completely different than your Instagram customer. Your Instagram customer is definitely going to be different than your Snapchat customer. But you want to make sure that you're owning each of those properties in your name. And then you're potentially creating different content on each platform to relate to that specific customer base. But if you don't have the ability to do all of those things, you guys, that's totally fine. If you post on one, you can post it the same across the board. Everybody on this call or Zoom should be, or YouTube, whatever channel we're on now, everyone should be posting at least once a day. And if you're posting in one place, you should post across as many other platforms as you can, as many other mediums as you can, at least once a day. It's super important. Once again, we'll go back to this. 20 years ago, this didn't exist, and now we have it, but most people aren't taking advantage of social media. All right, before I jump into email, and then you guys, once again, after we go through email, we're going to jump into some of the numbers. We'll go into maybe a little more boring, but also super important stuff. Any other questions thus far, Hannah? Everyone loves me?
Everyone does love you.
Good.
But I think what I saw earlier was like people asking about like KPIs and like what kind of metrics they should be hitting, which sounds like you're going to be covering a little bit later on.
I mean, I'll talk a little bit about KPIs. Let me make a note. For sure. And the numbers, you guys, are going to be different for everyone. It depends on, once again, where you are in that world of marketing.
And then somebody also asked about splitting up your budget. So say you wanted like post on like you're paying for like Google and paying for Facebook. How do you kind of manage that budget and where you start to split things up?
Sure. Honestly, where you split things up to begin with is right down the middle. And because you literally aren't going to know until you start running ads and figuring out what is working and what is not. Once again, you guys, marketing is all about testing and learning. You're throwing those darts and you're figuring out which ones are working and which ones aren't. Like I said, to begin with, I'd split it right down the middle. Go half on Google, half on social media, and start seeing where you're getting the best bang for your buck. And it'll take, when you start your AdWords account, it's going to take a good 30, 45 days or so until you start getting decent enough numbers back for you to be able to start playing around and optimizing. Obviously, if you're doing something incorrect, Google's going to let you know right away, and Facebook will as well. But once again, if you're shooting that wide approach, you're trying to reach everyone, testing and learning. So maybe on Facebook, here's an example, maybe on Facebook, on Instagram, on social media, you're doing 3 different ads. One ad is like a general ad. Another ad is very specific to a specific customer. And then your second ad is very similar to that ad with a different type of copy and a different picture, but going towards that same audience. The toughest thing to do when you are advertising on social media is trying to figure out who that target customer is. What are those attributes? How can I specifically target that very important person? Once again, the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. So if you know they went to USC, they like Warby Parker glasses and the Dodgers, you can advertise very specifically. But if you don't know that that's who your customer is, you need to start running ads, and maybe it is a Dodger looking ish ad to then figure out if that person is an actual Dodger fan or that person's wearing glasses. All of those things will help you out. And as you start getting all of that information, then you can start tailoring your budget.
One more, and then maybe we can kind of move forward. What are some resources that you recommend, like for social and stuff, for nonprofits or like companies that don't have a huge budget?
Yeah. Wix, W-I-X, the website builder, which isn't necessarily the best website builder in the world. However, their blog is amazing, you guys. You should be signing up for the Wix blog. They have a lot of really, really good stuff, and they talk about all sorts of things from not only just websites, but social media. Oh gosh, social media resources. I'm gonna have to think. I'll jog my memory as we keep going through for more resources for social media. There's a bunch of really good blogs out there, and now none of them are coming to my mind. But I'll think about it and I'll throw it back out there if I do. For search engine stuff for Google, Search Engine Land, SEMrush, SEMrush. Is awesome. There is a marketing company based out here in LA called Advertisement, MINT. And the owner of that actually teaches numerous classes at General Assembly. He has a really good blog as well, has written a book on social media, which is really good. His targeting stuff is awesome. If we ever get to actually be in the same room together again, and hopefully we will. His class is pretty amazing if you're ever in LA. His name is Brian Mert, M-E-E-R-T. The class is rad, you guys. But yeah, his blog is really good. Advertisement, M-I-N-T. Anything else?
I did see one where people were asking a lot about using like LinkedIn as a place for advertising.
Yeah, LinkedIn is very specific because it's very much so. Oh, and it's a great resource for business to business because you're very much so going after someone who's making that decision. Who is the decision maker that you're going after? Is that person the director of marketing? You can target very specifically that director of marketing. LinkedIn is trying to become bigger and better than potentially they are. They played around recently with hashtags, which didn't really work out. No one's using hashtags on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn, you guys, once again, is very business professional. It's not like you're posting, pictures of your cat on LinkedIn. So you need to make sure you're staying very professional. But running ads on there has worked out really well for my business-to-business clients too, because it's once again very specific. But it's kind of thinking outside of the box. What are those questions that people are going to ask in that particular field that you can answer on your website in a blog to drive organic traffic, and then answer those questions within an ad to get people to click to once again drive them to your website. KPIs, you guys, key performance indicators. Each campaign that you're running should have at least one KPI. In fact, your whole marketing campaign or your whole, all of your marketing should be based on what these KPIs are. You don't want to have more than 3, maybe even just 1, because each KPI could potentially be a brand new campaign. If you have a KPI, a key performance indicator. So for those of you who don't know what a key performance indicator is, this is the way that you are showing if you're meeting your objective. So how am I going to measure brand awareness? I'm going to measure brand awareness by setting a goal of how many people I want to come to my website. So my KPI would be, I want to have 10,000 people visit my website in the next 30 days. that would be a KPI where you're then able to measure if you are completing that KPI or not. However, you could have a completely different KPI that says, I want to increase my Instagram following by 1,000 people in the next 7 days. That one would be a completely different campaign because it's not driving traffic to your website. So you don't want to have too many different KPIs because each KPI could potentially be a different marketing / advertising campaign. Good? Good. Okay.
Actually, one more, which I thought was really cool. Facebook and Instagram stories. How do you see those differentiating from like just posting on, like say you just do like an Instagram post? Like how do you see the benefit?
We're seeing a huge uptick of people using Instagram stories and Facebook stories more so than they are just scrolling through. And now Facebook and Instagram are both offering the ability for you to actually sell your products through. So Facebook owns Instagram, for those of you who didn't know. And if you're going into the back end of Facebook to create an ad, you can have that ad specifically show just on Facebook, or you can do it to have it show on Facebook and Instagram. And now Instagram, because it is becoming so popular, and Instagram really started to really compete with Snapchat and has really taken over as it relates to Snapchat in popularity as well. I mean, I'm not snapping as much anymore, but once again, I'm a different customer because I'm older. Like I'm ancient, but whatever. So Instagram stories are becoming more and more popular, and now Instagram is giving people the ability to add products in there. Facebook stories is becoming really important, but it only lasts for 24 hours, right? So if it's really something that you're trying to push, you can have a story that potentially leads to your post. Because ultimately, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get people to take that action. So pushing people towards a direction, towards your actual post. Most of the time, most people aren't selling directly, on Instagram. They need to have someone actually click on their link to go to their website. So potentially you're using your Instagram story to do that. It's just another avenue, once again, to get someone to take an action. And most of these actions for almost everybody, unless you're an influencer, are happening on a website. So drive that traffic to your website, people. Good? Good. We're good. All right, you guys, email. Are we ready for email? This is where I would normally swear in class, but I'm not going to because, there's a lot of you. But email, you guys, is the jam, okay? Email is amazing. It has, well, let's talk about email first. It has, look at this second box or circle here. It has is 40 times more effective than social media. Did you hear that? 40 times more effective than social media. Hannah, why is email so effective?
Because it's targeting somebody directly.
Oh, look at you. I didn't even set her up for this question. Yes, 100% right. Because a lot of different things. One, it's very personalized. When you're getting an email, it's potentially just meant for you. How many times a day do you check your email, Hannah?
Probably at least 25 to 50.
Right? What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Check my email.
I know, right? It's not like I'm going to do some yoga, I'm going to pet the dog. It's right to the phone to get that email, right? This is why email, you guys, is so amazing. All of you in your inbox right now have emails from probably 5, 10, 15 years ago. By the way, you don't need those emails anymore, but that is aside from the point. Email, you guys. It is 40 times more effective than social media. Everyone should be trying to acquire email addresses. With that email address, 40 times better chance of them becoming an actual customer, changing from a user to a customer. On average, people get 121 emails a day, so you have to stand out. How am I going to stand out when I send someone an email, Hannah?
Good subject line.
Oh, look at you. Amazing. Yes, a good subject line. Subject lines, you guys, are unbelievably, it's the make or break of that email. If it's your favorite retailer and it says free shipping, you're going to be like, oh my God, amazing. I have to click on this because I definitely want free shipping. However, if they do the same thing the next week And then the week after that, and the week after that, you're going to be like, I don't care about free shipping. This happens all the time, right? So you want someone to take notice of your email. You can be harsh sometimes. You can be very much so to the point. In the nonprofit area, I used to do this a lot with my clients. And sometimes my clients would be like, oh my God, we can't say that. And I was like, if we do, watch what happens. So I used to work for a pet rescue. Aww. And we literally would send an email, and our normal email open rate wasn't great, you guys. And we'll talk more about open rates here in a bit as we start getting into the numbers portion, but our open rate wasn't very good because our emails and our subject lines were very much so, help us save this dog, help us do this, blah, 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 blah. We need more money because we're a nonprofit. But a couple of different times, because you can't do this very often, but imagine if you did send an email with the subject line of help us save this dog before it dies. Who's not going to open that email, right? It's morbid, sort of, but you guys, my open rate for that one specific email, and it wasn't that exactly, was like 80-something%. We raised the most amount of money with that one email because we were very harsh in that subject line. But I can't consistently do that, or else people would immediately unsubscribe because it would be like that ASPCA commercial with the music in the background that you just start crying when you can't do that. You can't do that. But back to email, you guys. 95% of subscribers find a newsletter helpful. Do not put all the information of your newsletter in your newsletter. When you send your newsletter out, ultimately you're trying to drive traffic to that website. If nobody has time to read a 12-page email, right? You want to be very, very, very specific. And then another fancy stat, 25% of all orders from the holidays came on Black Friday. All of the Black Friday emails, or all of the Black Friday, 25% of sales from Black Friday were via email. It was email that literally drove someone to the website. So this is super important, you guys. In digital marketing, it takes somebody 3 to 5 times of seeing an ad before they actually take an action. They need 3 to 5, on average, 3 to 5 different impressions before they take an action. That could be, I see a Facebook ad. It could be, I see a Google ad, but I don't click on it. And then maybe I go to the website and sign up for the email list and I get an actual email. That's what makes me take the action to buy a product. 3 to 5 times of interacting. So there's no perfect medium in digital marketing. It's all of the mediums. You want to use everything that you can. You want to use Google ads. You want to use display ads. You want to use Twitter. You want to use your organic stuff. You're just posting to post on Twitter or what have you. It's all of those things combined, which somebody is going to interact with 3 to 5 times before they take an action. It used to be where Google would attribute all of the success of whatever the last thing was that somebody clicked on. So if it's the email that somebody clicked on, they'd be like, oh my God, email is amazing. Now Google is getting smarter and smarter, where they're actually able to show, oh, this person saw a display ad to Google AdWords ad and then clicked on the email. So while we're still going to give some of this attribution success to the email, it was also because of these other things that people interacted with before they took that action. But you guys, it's all about email. Once again, if you have a 40 times better chance to get to turn someone from a user into a customer, it is because of email. So number one question, which Hannah's probably getting now, is how do I get more email addresses, right? Here's what they want. People want one of 3 things, or in fact, they probably want all of these things, but they want one of 3 things in order for you to get their email address. They want access, they want spotlight, they want exclusivity. You guys, they want to feel special. You need to make them feel special. First of all, no one's signing up for your email newsletter because that sounds horrible, right? I don't want another email. I definitely don't want another newsletter. We all get too many emails, right? But if I could be part of the VIP club, oh yeah. Or if I owned, if I owned a brewery, because I love beer, even though I'm in Napa drinking wine, but if I owned a brewery and if I was trying to get people to sign up for my email list, I'd call it the, I don't know, the Brewers Guild or the Hop Club, because it already sounds potentially better than just an email newsletter. But not only that, now I need to give people something. They're not going to give you their email address for free. And I'm usually almost 100% of the time against you immediately giving a discount because you're just bastardizing your own product. You can give them something that seems like they're getting something without it having to cost you any money. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So if you sign up to be a member of my Brewers Guild, which is my email list for my brewery, you will get the ability to purchase my special releases of beer before the general public. Is that costing me extra money to do? Absolutely not. Maybe a little bit on the back end to set up a system where that would work, but maybe it's just a password that people are using to jump ahead of the line. I'm already giving them now access and exclusivity, and people are going to be like, oh my God, I want to be able to buy this beer before the general public. Well, you can if I have your email address. Oh my God, amazing. Access, spotlight, exclusivity, you guys, make them feel special. If you owned a yoga company, you could create your namaste list or your stretch club or something to that degree. And to drive traffic, you could say, and to get email addresses, you could say, here are the 10 things that all yoga people are doing wrong. Everyone who does yoga is going to be like, there is no way that I'm doing 10 things wrong. But in order to see what those 10 things are in this awesome PDF document that you've created or this amazing video on YouTube, they have to enter their email address. And oh my gosh, now you have their email address, you guys. But you need to nurture those people. Just like we talked about a funnel, you need to make sure that once they get that email, as soon as they sign up, they're getting an email. And then you're slowly pushing them down that funnel. And hopefully at the end, they are making or taking an action in some way, shape, or form, right? So you have to mix up your content, you guys. You can't just be all about sales. If every email, and I love Banana Republic, they make some awesome stuff, but their emails are horrible because every single time it's buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. And I'm like, you know what? If I need stuff from Banana Republic, it's not going to be via your email. It's going to be me going to your website because I don't want to be inundated 7 times a week with here, buy these pants, buy these shoes, buy this shirt. It's like, it's too much. But if they mixed it up, like, hey, here is the manager of this store, and here's his story, I might be like, oh, that's interesting, because it's all sales, 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 sales. You can't do it, you guys. But if you offer your customers or your users that you're trying to turn into customers access, spotlight, and exclusivity when it comes to email, you will get their email addresses. And then you'll have a 40 times better chance of them actually becoming a customer. Okay. Annie, Hannah, I'm going to talk some crap about General Assembly, right? They should take my class. General Assembly's email, you guys, is not good, okay? All of you right now are showing some interest in digital marketing, right? And you're going to get an email from Hannah/Annie at some point in time that has this deck. You're definitely going to get this deck, which is awesome because this deck is great. But after that, instead of segmenting you into a different customer base, you guys are going to get the exact same email that everyone else gets at General Assembly. If you've ever attended a class, you're going to get the same email. But what they should be doing is being like, oh my God, these people were interested in digital marketing. I'm going to send them a very specific email about digital marketing. Or maybe they really liked Alex. Here's the next class that Alex is teaching. Oh my God, amazing. But they don't. They haven't segmented their ads. I don't know why. Maybe they will now after this. But segmentation, segmentation, segmentation. So you guys, if I know at my brewery, which I'm really excited to own now, that I have a collection of people who love pastry stouts that taste like chocolate and marshmallows, and oh my God, I'm getting excited thinking about it. Those people might not like the fancy new IPAs that are out there. And if I know who those customers are, and you can start doing this, because once again, the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. You can start figuring out this information in just by creating an Excel document. You don't necessarily need Salesforce right off the bat to help you figure out all this information, but this is why CRM, customer relationship management tools, are so very helpful, because it'll help you put all of this information together. But if I know I have this group of stout people, I'm not going to tell them that I have a fancy IPA that I'm unveiling, because they're probably not going to like it. I'm going to email them very specifically about how my stout process is going, because that's what they're going to want to know. And my IPA people, I'm going to be like, oh my God, I just got these amazing Simcoe hops from right out my window here in Napa. And oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. Segment, 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 you guys. Segmentation is the key to digital marketing. You're not advertising to everyone. You're advertising to those very specific customers that you have. You're emailing them very specifically. If you buy a pair of yoga pants from a athletics, a yoga company, they then start telling you, oh my God, buy the headband, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. But if you know that those customers always are only buying yoga pants, what should you email them about? Yoga pants, and just yoga pants, because that's what they're buying. Segment, 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 you guys. It is the key to digital marketing. And one day General Assembly will be doing it in their email. Okay. Key concepts and terms, you guys. There's a ton of acronyms that we use in digital marketing. Honestly, it's way too much TMI, too much information. And we're going to go through some of those things now and why they are important to you. Some of you might already know this because this is somewhat basic, but some of them are a little more interesting. But before we jump into all of these things, Hannah, are there questions thus far? Email questions, maybe?
Yes. So we've got like the question of how often should we send a newsletter? Do you have any recommendations around like formatting?
Okay, formatting, newsletter, got it. Formatting. Okay, all of you, I mean, if you don't have an email service provider, I recommend MailChimp. They integrate seamlessly with Google. Their ads are also really awesome as well, and their customer service is great. It's also, free for your first 3,000 or 5,000 subscribers. But you should also spend the money on the back end and have a graphic designer create an email template for you. There's plenty of free ones that you can use or even build in MailChimp. But if you have one that is very much so customized for your brand with your colors, your word marks, and that every time you get an email, you know that you're getting an email from that brand, I highly recommend that. When you should send your email and how often you send your email is, I get that question every single time, which is totally fine. There is no right answer to that. It really has to depend on what your content is. Once again, if you're selling every single time in every single email, how would you like to get an email about sales 5 times a week, 7 times a week? You probably wouldn't like it. So maybe you're selling 1 time a week, and then you're talking about other things, what's happening in the industry, things to that degree, how your office works, sustainability, your take on Black Lives Matter, whatever it may be. All of those things need to be part of your content calendar for your emails. Newsletter, same type of deal. It depends on how often, how much information is in there. You can, and I've worked with clients that literally email their clients every day, and it works because they're getting different content every single day. So instead of sending a newsletter that has 7 different types of topics in there that people probably aren't going to scroll down, once again, segment, segment, segment. If you know that there's a specific base of people that are only going after one specific thing, then make sure you're emailing those people. When I was working with that pet rescue, I knew I had customers that were dog people and customers that were cat people. And it was the dog people that I would send dog information to. And it was cat people that I was sending cat pictures to. I don't like cats, so I wouldn't want to see a picture of a cat. But all of that is super helpful. When you send your email, there's no perfect time. It's literally the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. So if you know your customer are those people that are waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to run 12 miles, they're going to do the same thing that Hannah does, even though they're waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go run. They're going to take out their phone and looking at their email. So if you know that you have these runners as your customers, maybe you're sending your email at 4:30 in the morning. Because please believe, if they're looking at their emails and boom, one pops in right as they're looking at it, because you know that they're up at that approximate moment, oh my God, you're going to win, 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 because you know so much about your customer. So it's really trying to walk in their shoes, run in their shoes, and figure out when those people are going to be interacting. Is it moms who are going to be picking up their kids every day at 3 o'clock? When are they going to be home? When potentially would they be checking their email? These are the things that you would want to think about. But ultimately, all of this information is going to be included in your analytics. So you can start segmenting based off of when specific people have opened their email. So one of the things you can do in MailChimp is send emails based off of when they've opened up emails in the past. So you can create a group. These are the people that always open up their email after 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. I want to make sure that I'm very specifically sending an email at that specific time. That's going to take a lot of time to put together, because you have to send it over a long period of time to figure out these people consistently open at this time. But looking in your analytics will give you a better understanding of what you're doing. Yeah, Hannah, good? More?
That's good. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have some water though. This is a lot of talking, you guys. That's why they pay me the big bucks. They don't pay me big bucks. Okay. Key terms and concepts, you guys. Once again, an impression. Okay. Every time your ad is shown, it is an impression. Whether that person clicks on it, interacts with it at all, or it's just scrolling through their feed and they're going super fast, it still counts as an impression. When you're building ads on Facebook, you have various ways that you can show your ads. It can be based off of impression. It can be based off of, or this is how you're paying for your ad. It can be based off of how many people it's come across their feed. It could be based off of how many you only pay if somebody clicks on your ad. There's no right way to do this, you guys. Usually if it's a brand that is just starting up, I would say go based off of impressions. But I would also create that same ad and run it based off of clicks and see which one works better. There's no perfect way. This is all testing and learning. Obviously, a click, you guys know what that is when someone actually clicks on your ad. When they click on your ad, that is amazing. It means your ad is working, right? But if your ad then goes to your website and your website is clunky, or it's got bad user experience, or it's just ridiculously overwhelming. And if I'm clicking on an ad to buy a specific pair of shoes from Banana Republic, if Banana Republic sends me to their homepage, I'm not going to be happy with that. I want them to send me right to the page where those shoes are. And a lot of companies make that mistake as well. So click, obviously you guys know what that is. Conversion. Conversion is what you're going after. This is once you get that click, that's only half the battle. Now you want them to convert. And a conversion can be 1,000, 1,000,000 different things. You could get a conversion just based off of somebody signing up for your email newsletter, which is not called your email newsletter. But if somebody clicks and puts their email address in there and hits the okay, that could be considered a conversion. It could be considered a conversion based off of somebody putting something in their cart. But ultimately, when we think of conversion, it's literally, if it's not signing up for an email address, it's making a purchase, right? It's taking an action in some way, shape, or form. And you can put either through Google or through Facebook, you can actually say, I want my conversion tracked as this, this, or this. So you can have numerous different conversions. And every time you have a different conversion, you potentially have a different automated action that is taking place. So if somebody makes a purchase, they're probably getting an email right afterwards that says, hey, thanks for your purchase. It'll be sent out in, 12 hours and you'll be happy. But it could be something else. It's like, hey, you put something in your cart, but you didn't make a purchase. Something then automatically automates and sends it out. You can set those things up once again in your back end of your email service provider, your back ends of Facebook, your back ends of Google. General Assembly teaches classes on how to do all of these things. I am not a web developer. I'm a strategist. I'm the creative guy. So I don't usually go into the weeds, but I can. Okay, now we're getting into some very exciting acronyms. CPM, your cost per 1,000 impressions. How much are you paying to reach 1,000 impressions? There's no right answer here either. It depends on who you're competing against. And the same thing is true for the next one, your cost per click. So once again, if I'm in Facebook and I'm creating an ad, and I can either send that ad based off of how many people I'm going to reach, or the second one, how many people click on my ad. I will only pay if people click, or I can only pay based on how many people I need to reach. Once again, when you're just starting out, I would create ads, the same ad, and run them in both buckets. So let's see how well my CPM one does versus my CPC one does. And then you can optimize to there. But CPM is really, really helpful as you're trying to get that brand awareness out there. You need to show as many people as many times as possible so they can understand who your brand is. There's cost per click. And then here's your cost per action or cost per conversion. So how much money is it going to cost for me to have a user take an action on my website? So I've seen cost of conversions be under $1. I've seen other companies really happy because their cost per conversion was $150. But it also depends on what that product is, right? If you're selling bananas and your cost per acquisition is $3, you're probably not doing very well because bananas are pretty cheap. But if you're selling flat screen TVs or a car and it only costs you $150 to sell a $50,000 car, then your cost per acquisition at $150 doesn't sound horrible when you know that your revenue that you're bringing in is so much higher. Cost per acquisition is another one of those things that we talk about all the time. These are really your three basic main things, key terms and concepts for digital marketing. And these are what we're basically bidding on. You can also in Facebook, on Instagram, as you're creating these ads, only pay after an action. But it's not necessarily the best thing to do, especially not right away, because you may not be getting a ton of conversions right away. Cost per action or cost per conversion is something that I would do if I already had a set customer base that I could advertise to. Okay, metrics, you guys, metrics. Your click-through rates, the number of clicks divided by the number of impressions. So how many times did I send my ad out and it was seen by people versus how many people actually clicked on that? Your click-through rate, very important, and one of those things that you'll be able to look at on the back end of everything from Google to Facebook to Instagram to anywhere you're running an ad. Your conversion rate, the number of conversions divided by the number of clicks or by the number of impressions, which is usually 1,000. So how many clicks am I getting? Am I sending 100 people to my website and only 10 people are converting? Then my conversion rate is 10%. That's really important. So all these are important, you guys. This is somewhat boring, but you also have to understand what these things are. And it's a lot like riding a bike. So once you see it and you keep seeing it, you'll start understanding them more and more and more. But you'll also get this deck, which will be emailing you, so you can use it as your flashcard, so you can come back in your resource to understand what it is. And then you have your cost per action. Your overall cost, I'm spending $100 to get one conversion. Then my cost per action or cost per conversion is $100, right? Your cost divided by the total number of conversions. Your average order value. This is very important as well. Your average order value. So how much revenue divided by the number of orders. If I've got people spending $100 and there's 10 orders, my average order value is $10, right? This is really important depending on the type of products that you have. If you're selling, $100 pairs of yoga pants, but your average order value is only $23, it means nobody's buying your yoga pants, and that is a hot ticket item for you. So you need to obviously change your marketing and push more people towards the yoga pants, because if you were selling more yoga pants, you would have a higher average order value. And then all of you on this fancy bit of media today definitely know what ROI is. It's why we're all in business. It is that return on investment, your revenue divided by your cost. ROI, ROI, ROI. And this is why digital marketing is so much better than traditional marketing, is because we can actually show our return on investment. I spent $100 on Facebook ads. I drove 10 people to my website and 5 of them made a purchase, right? Then I can go back through and find out what my click-through rate is, my conversion rate, how much my average order value is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if I of those people that purchase, I sold $1,000 worth of stuff, I know my return on investment was my revenue divided by my cost, 1,000 divided by however, $100, right? So there's my return on investment. Exciting metrics. Oh, there they are turning red. Okay, share of voice, more exciting things. The number of times your ads show versus the total ads that show. Share of voice is also really important, more so on social media than it is any other time. So once again, how many times your ads are actually showing versus the total ads that actually show. This one's a little more difficult. And probably a little more upscale for a lot of the people on this call. But we'll go to engagement rate. Engagement is awesome, you guys. Once again, this is that earned media that you are going for. Your clicks and your social actions. So your social actions can be everything from what you're hoping for, comments, but it could be likes, shares, all of those things, plus clicks divided by how many impressions there were is your engagement rate. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably asking, what are good rates for all of these things? It's really going to depend on what your industry is. But there is in Facebook as well as Google, they will give you what your industry is, and they will give you averages and where you should be shooting for a lot of these things. Right now, we're just kind of going through and figuring out what these things are. Your post view conversion. So if you viewed a video, did you go from that video to make a purchase? Did you, as I'm sure all of you have watched a YouTube video where they're like, hey, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. They want you to know, or this would be your post view conversion. If at the end of the video, did you convert? How many conversions did you get versus how many people actually watched the video? And then there's a post click conversion, which is basically the same thing. After they clicked an ad, did they actually convert? Oh, I'm not turning these things red, and I should. I apologize. And then the last one is your look back window. The amount of time and action has influence on a conversion. Honestly, I have no idea what that is. I'm not going to lie to you. A look back window, amount of time and action has influence on a conversion. I'll look that one up, you guys. I have no idea what a look back window is. Sorry. I could lie to you and be like, oh, this is exactly what it is, but that's not who I am. So sorry about that. Hannah, questions? That's a lot of really kind of boring, dull information, but all sorts of very important stuff. Sorry, I don't know what a look back window is. Do you know what a look back window is? Hannah's going to look it up, right, Hannah?
I'm going to look it up. I will come back with an answer here in a minute.
We're here for the people.
And I do want to correct something that was brought up. Actually, the emails that were being used in this deck are from past emails. So we actually do segmented marketing.
Oh, look at you guys.
We are on top of it. Yes, our marketing team is doing a great job, especially the email marketing team.
I think a lot of it changed for COVID. We've had a lot more time and have needed to definitely segment. But for everyone out there, when you're using email, each one can have a different funnel. So like each segment we're trying to push down, but they're going to get maybe a general email to begin with. And the more you find out, the more information you know about your customer, then they're going to go into the digital marketing funnel. Because at General Assembly, we're hoping they'll take that 10-week class, right? Well, we're going to keep sending them emails to be like, oh my God, take this for free. And here's a discount and here's whatever and blah, 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 trying to get them down that funnel.
And it is a great funnel to go down.
It is. I'm not saying it's not, you guys. I'm sorry.
So the questions that I wanted to field, is a CPM target for brand awareness worthwhile for a very niche business?
Once again, there's no right answer. I would say yes, just because you're going to need to reach a bunch of people. But like I said before, I put half of that money in CPM and the other half in CPC and see which one does better. It's testing and learning and testing and learning. And Facebook, you guys, when it first started and when I first started dealing with it, the testing and learning it, if I wanted to create and figure out what my ad was, and I didn't know if I was going to use a dog, a cat and a dog, a cat, dog, and a pig, or a pig, a dog, and a cat, I would literally have to create individual ads. So I would have a dog ad, a cat and a dog ad, a different cat and a different dog ad, a pig and a cat and a dog ad, and run each of those ads at the same time with the same copy and the same targeting to figure out which one worked the best. But now Facebook will allow you to input those pictures in, and then they will over time figure out which one are more popular and just show that one. They've made leaps and bounds from where they used to be. Their customer service is still abysmal though.
Another one, is there a percentage range of CPA based on your product sell price that you want to aim for?
Yeah, it really kind of depends on what you can bear, right? So obviously the lower the CPA, the better. And I've had cost per actions. I've had cost per clicks that are roughly 20, 30 cents. And once again, other clicks that were, $10, $20, but it really depends on what that product is. And the same thing will be true for you. So each action that somebody's taking on your website would potentially have a different value for you. So how much is it worth to get somebody's email address versus how much is it worth for them putting it in their cart versus how much is it worth for your company for them to actually make that conversion? All of these things you need to test and learn before you can start understanding where you need to be. But honestly, you guys, those numbers can always get lower. So whatever you're at now and you're like, oh my God, it's great, you can always optimize.
Let's see. Can you speak to the difference between CPA and CAC? I've heard them used interchangeably.
CPA and CPC? Yeah, so
CAC? Is it?
Well, so I don't honestly use the acronym CPA. I usually say cost per click or cost per conversion, and that's why the conversion is under there. So yes, they are used kind of synonymous with each other. You really just have to put it into context. But it's way easier. Cost per thousand is CPM because it's a different letter. But but cost per click and cost per conversion very much so sound like the same thing. It just depends on the context that they're being used in. I didn't come up with that.
Awesome. What are some key metrics that you'd use for, say, like a podcast?
Ooh, podcast metrics. I would want to know. Ooh, good question. I would want to know my cost per click as it relates to how they got to where they're downloading the podcast. I'd want to know the number of downloads that I had versus the number of people that actually listened. I definitely want to know where I lost them in the podcast. And you can get all of that information in the analytics of whoever is hosting your podcast. Because if somebody listens and they fall off within the first 10 minutes and you have a 2-hour podcast, you probably need to know that. And I would really want to know how many returning people I had. That's what I would look at for podcasts. Because if you're getting the same customers over and over again, that's amazing. That's what you should be doing. But you also want to make sure that you're building up new customers as well.
Let's see. That's kind of, I think, the good ones for now. We can keep going on.
Okay. I don't have a ton left, you guys, so I will have some time for some more questions here at the end, which is amazing. All right, targeting and tactics, you guys. Targeting and tactics. All right, so here we are talking about the cookie, which we kind of talked about in the very beginning as well. This is a small file saved on people's browsers that allowed marketers to track and target. Now, you guys, there is a ton of regulatory conditions that have to be met as it relates to sharing and utilizing people's information, especially in the state of California where I live. literally every site that you go to, you're getting a pop-up that says, is it okay that we have the right to store and share your information? And then if you don't click yes, then you have to read like a summary, and oh my gosh. And it depends on how much money you're making, whether or not you need to do this or not. Honestly, you guys, I am not the person nor a legal person, although I did take the LSAT, but still, I'm not the person that's going to be able to tell you how to navigate through all of that. I hope GA has a class on it, because there's a ton of people asking the same question. I would rely on Google on how to understand all this. But from a grader, from that 30,000 foot view, this cookie is super important. This is basically somebody, a cookie is like their digital footprint. So when they come to your website, you now understand not necessarily who they are because they haven't given you their email address or all their information, but now you have their digital footprint. And in Google Analytics, which we didn't talk about today, which is amazing, and GA has amazing classes on analytics as well. Now you can find out what type of customers that you have. Because ultimately, you guys, as you're trying to figure out who your customer is, it's probably the people visiting your website. So going into Google Analytics, getting basic Google Analytics certified, you guys, is super going to be super helpful for you, because you're going to understand who these people are that are visiting your website, which are most likely your customers. But that cookie is going to tell you their gender. It's going to tell you how they got to your website. Was it through Google? Was it through organic search where they searched for brewery in Napa? Or did they put in the actual name of your brewery into the URL and they directly went to your website? Did they click on a Google ad? So acquisition is going to be important. It'll also go into some of the behavior. What type of things does this person like? And that's based off of what other websites that person has visited. All that information is 100% free. Make sure you have Google Analytics turned on your website. It is going to be a wealth of information, because in digital marketing, what we're trying to do is take that user and turn them into a customer. And that's the reason that we're sending these people these ads. But if you know that this person has already visited your website, that means they have some brand awareness of who you are. Now, when you are retargeting them, which once again has a 250% return on investment on average, you can then get them to come back to your website. They know who you are. How can you sweeten the deal to bring them back to your website? I've had a whole lot of fun doing retargeting ads, because people normally just see, the shoes that they put in their cart, and that honestly works more times than not. But you can be really creative with what you're doing with that retargeting ad to get people to come back to your website. You guys, especially now more so than ever, humor is amazing. And the more that you can get people to laugh or chuckle or honestly take an emotion, hopefully a positive emotion, they will then, that'll only add to the brand's equity for your brand and get people to come back to your website. All of this awesome information. Oh, there goes my dog. Multi-channel messaging. Okay, so cookies can be passed across multiple platforms by Quigley. For enhanced targeting and increased performance. So if somebody visits your website, you can give all of these companies the ability to figure out who that cookie is, who that user is, because Facebook's going to know who that user is. If that user has an Instagram account, a LinkedIn account, a Twitter account, if they use Google, it can spread all across these things. So that one cookie, that one digital footprint, if I visit once again, Banana Republic, right? If I go to their website and then go to Facebook, because Facebook is integrated with their website and Banana Republic has given them the okay with the pixel that they've installed on their website, Banana Republic has the ability to then send me and just me that ad. It's not everyone, it's only me, because I'm the only ones that put that particular shoe into my cart. And the same thing is true via Google. The same thing is true on all these social media platforms. Multi-channel messaging is the way to go. Because once again, we need 3 to 5 times of somebody taking it, interacting or seeing an ad before they take an action. It could be all of these things and more. Targeting, oh my goodness. Once again, Brian Mert's class on Facebook. Targeting is amazing, you guys. Hopefully he'll be teaching it again. It's awesome. So this targeting is half the battle here. It is literally the secret sauce. Once you figure out who you are targeting very specifically, for me, the guy who went to USC, who wears Warby Parker glasses and likes the Dodgers, if I know all my customers are just like that, I can target those people very, very, very specifically. It is more so not just how old somebody is, what they look like, how much money they have. Those things are important. But the more that you can dive into the empathy, is this Dodger fan someone who's going to shop at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's? Is this the person that is going to be watching the Today Show every morning or listening to NPR? Because those people are completely different. They all might be the same age. They all might have similar likes. But the more that you dive into the empathy of your customer, once again, the more you know about your customer, the better you can market to them. And honestly, this is endless, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Back in the day on Facebook, I could target somebody based off of a purchase decision that they had already made. And when I was working for that pet rescue, we found some very, very fancy brands of pet food. And we were like, if people are buying this brand of pet food, we know they probably have some money, and maybe they'd be interested in donating some of that money to our organization. So we were literally targeting people who had purchased these really, really fancy brands of dog food and cat food. And then one day, Facebook said, hey, you can't do that anymore. Wait, what? Yeah, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because they said, no, this is way too much information that we are sharing. Cambridge Analytica, Facebook got in trouble, and they really pulled back the reins on some of those things that you could do. But I had an entire advertising campaign based off of who those people buy the items that those people were purchasing. Now you can't do that anymore on Facebook. But one of the things you can do on Facebook, and this is an awesome thing for all of you nonprofits out there, if you have an email list, you can upload that email list, or a list of donors, even better. If you have a list of donors and their email addresses, potentially even their phone numbers as well, that will work too. You can upload that information into Facebook and create something called a lookalike audience, where Facebook uses their fancy algorithms to figure out an audience that is very similar to the characteristics of the ones that you uploaded, and they will create basically a target group for you to then target to. You don't know who these people are. You don't get their email addresses, but they are now creating basically they're doubling the amount of people that you are normally reaching. Obviously, you want to be able to reach your current donors on Facebook, and you can upload those email addresses into Facebook to make sure you're targeting them very specifically. But when you create a lookalike audience, Facebook's literally just doing that. They're creating an audience that looks very much so like the audience that you already have. Almost every time I've done this in the nonprofit area, it has worked, because it is awesome, great way to raise more money. So for you nonprofit out there, definitely look into the lookalike audiences on Facebook. All right, more questions?
If you could go back to the last slide, I was getting some questions on what HHI stands for.
Household income. Yes. And I honestly didn't know. I just figured that out right now. Kudos to us. Yeah, household income. Are you looking at a household? As you know, if you're trying to sell Teslas, you're probably not selling it to a household that is only making $50,000 a year. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. Geo-targeting location. So that one is super helpful as well. And I didn't really talk about this, but Google Ads. You guys, you don't need to create a Google ad to the entire country. You can have Google Ads just do within a 5-mile radius of your organization. So if I have a brewery, people in Minnesota don't care about my brewery. I'm going to put it maybe a 10-mile radius, although people in Napa are lazy. Sorry for you Napa people, but maybe it would only be a 5-mile radius around my location. And that's the only place that I'm sending ads to. Another tidbit, you guys, you don't need to launch a national campaign to begin with. If you guys can do really, really well just in your one location, if you can kill it in LA, and that's already very hard to do, then you can start opening up to other places. But take what you've learned, test and learn on a smaller scale before then launching it across the country, across the world. You'll get more bang for your buck for sure.
Content, can you effectively use the same content in various social media channels? I know you kind of touched base on that a little
Yeah,
bit.
you definitely can. You have some different parameters that you'll have to follow. Obviously, the character count in Twitter versus the no character count on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, you can just post something that has no picture. Twitter, obviously, you have to have a picture. Video, you guys, is the way to go these days. Memes, moving images. No one's going to watch an 8-minute video about how we rescued a dog. But they'll definitely watch a 30-second clip of us rescuing it from underneath a car, and it's all matted, and then we take it to the vet, and I'm already tearing up, and then, you know, we get it groomed, and then we show him being adopted, him or her being adopted. That is awesome. You can make that into a 1-minute video. It'd be great. That video is going to get a whole lot more clicks and engagement than just a before and after picture. Here's what we found the dog before. Here's how we found it after. You want them to participate and be a part of that story. And honestly, you guys, once again, you want them to engage with you. And that's usually through comments. You're seeing a lot of people ask for like, hey, what would you title this post, or what would be a good name for this picture or whatnot. They're literally asking for engagement, which is kind of lame, honestly. You can do a better job, like, hey, what did you think of this? Or, hey, I'm thinking of wearing this or this, which one would you choose? That type of thing. You'll get a whole lot more engagement. You want to make them a part of the story that you are trying to tell. Anything else?
Another question. What is the standard about doing in person? Does it affect public perception of your product or organization?
In person versus?
I think digital.
Okay. I mean, in person is the way to go for everything. I would love to have a class with all 10,000 of you, or 3 of you, probably just my mom and dad watching this. I would love to have you guys all in a room together that we could do it. Yeah, the personal is the way to go, but following up digitally is almost necessary. Yeah, I don't even know if I can comment on the difference between in person and digital. Digital is the way to go, you guys. And you can use so many different mediums to take advantage of so many different mediums. There's no perfect way to market, you guys. It's literally, it's the shotgun approach, right? I'm going to market across everything and see which one works the best. Because honestly, each of your customers are going to be completely different depending on the medium that they're using. Your Facebook customers are, and these are just assumptions, but most of the time are going to tend to be older. These are your parents, your grandparents. People my age and younger are not on Facebook as much anymore. If you're in that 20 to 40-ish area, 20 to 30-ish area, you are more inclined to use Instagram. If you are 8 to 20, maybe you're more along the lines of using Snapchat. I have no idea where TikTok is in this whole business. During quarantine, I think it's everyone. TikTok.
Somebody asked, I've heard doing 9 or 16 or infinite posts on social a day. What's the minimum recommendation?
Minimum recommendation is 1 a day. You don't want to potentially do too many unless it's really building part of your brand. So when I said posting with purpose, you're literally posting with a reason. And if you can come up with 9 different reasons to make a post in 1 day, that's fantastic. If you're an influencer, all of these things change because now you are trying to, engage more people as often as humanly possible. At least once a day. Once again, it depends on your brand. There is no perfect number, but I will tell you right now, most companies are doing less than 1 post a day, and that's abysmal. Everyone needs to be posting at least 1 time a day. If you have tremendous resources and you have a whole social media team, yeah, posting numerous times a day is great. But it also depends on what you're posting about, right? If it's just sales, 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 no one's going to want to be interested. You need to mix up your content.
If you create an account on a platform for presence, but don't necessarily maintain it, is that okay? Or do you recommend just not having an account at all?
No, I definitely recommend having it, even if you're not using it, just for the sake of having it under your company name. Because you might take out a Pinterest account and then do a couple things and figure out that it isn't really useful for you. I would still keep the account. You don't need to use it. It'll just protect somebody else from then having it under that same company name. And for consistency purposes, try to make everything the same, you guys. I've had numerous clients have to go, like my last one, startup company, had to go buy a Twitter account from a 14-year-old because it had the same name as the brand name. Paid a couple $100, gave the guy a new shirt, and was able to have the consistent name on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, which is as good as gold.
For lookalike audience on Facebook and aren't giving you those Facebook contacts, what are the implications for privacy policy, so on and so forth?
So if you're uploading your donor list into Facebook, you're basically able to serve the people who have already opted into your email newsletter. You're giving them the ability to serve them an ad. Privacy policy, I have no idea. I'm not in the legal department of this, but I know it's okay to do. When you upload that same list to create a lookalike list, Facebook isn't telling you any information about the people that lookalike list is. It's just basically creating a brand new target group for you to send ads to that you probably haven't sent ads to before. It's an amazing, amazing, and a free service. I mean, obviously you're paying for the ads, but it's 100% free to create and do.
Sorry, I'm like trying to look through all these questions.
That's okay, it's okay. I think I have a couple more slides left. Let me go through it. You guys are gonna run over. I hope that's okay for everyone. I'm never on time. All right, let me finish up what we've got here. Is that cool, Hannah? And then we'll answer a couple.
Yeah, let's wrap up. And then we can also do like a Q&A resource page or something like that, where if there's any
Cool. And I'm happy to stay on later and answer more questions if need be. All right, evaluation and optimization. This is getting towards the end. We talked a little bit about this already. This is the attribution model. It's a rule or set of rules that determines how we credit the conversion and where it's assigned to. So one, an attribution model is really important as it relates to how they're coming to your website. Are they coming because they saw 4 different ads and then clicked on your email? Your attribution model will show that these things were important, all the things that were impressions, but the most important one is the one that they actually clicked on. Without some form of attribution model, you're not taking into account the full value of your marketing efforts. And once again, Google Analytics is doing an amazing job of this now, so that they can show, hey, this person saw these 3 ads and then clicked on an email, and it will show we're going to move this attribution to 20%, 20%, 20%, and 20%. But ultimately showing the main form, and it's usually more times than not, you guys, it's usually email that it's getting that click and getting that attribution. So here's an example, once again, of the funnel. So if I create a Google ad, which you don't even need to click on, it's an impression whether you're clicking on it or not. And when you're creating Google ads, you guys, one of the coolest things about Google ads is you don't pay unless somebody actually clicks that ad. But it's still counted as one of those impressions, and you need anywhere from 3 to 5 before someone takes an action. So you've got your Google ad, somebody sees the Google ad, doesn't even necessarily need to click on it. Then they go onto Facebook and they see a Facebook ad. Then they see an Instagram ad. It's the Instagram ad that says, oh, wow, I really want to visit this website. Then they view the website. Once they're on the website, they're like, oh my God, this is the greatest brewery I've ever seen. I want to make sure that I'm first in line at the next release. I'm going to sign up to be a part of the Hop Guild or the Brewers Club or some stuff. And I'm going to sign up for the email address. That could be considered a conversion. So that could be where the purchase is. Or once I have the email, then I send that person an email and I'm like, hey, thanks for being a member of the Brewers Guild. We just released this amazing pastry stout. with coconut and graham cracker and marshmallows and cacao nibs, now you can make that purchase and then people do. That is literally the funnel that people would potentially go down before they're taking an action. And then it's testing, you guys. Like I said earlier, it's all about testing and learning, testing and learning, testing and learning. So when you test anything, you need to have, back to science class, you need to have a control, right? That is always going to remain the same and only one thing that changes. So if you're changing out the picture, the copy and the targeting are going to remain the same. Or if you're changing the targeting of who you're actually targeted to, the picture and the copy are going to remain the same. You can only change one element at a time, but you can test and learn across the board. And I recommend that you do for everything. Test and learn with those subject lines of your email. MailChimp and most email service providers will give you an option. If you send out an email and people haven't, and whoever hasn't opened it in 3 days or 5 days or whatever, you can resend that email. Definitely resend that email, but change the subject line. Yes, A/B testing is going to be the way to your success. There's no easy way to do this, you guys. And people are lying to you if they say that there is. It's all testing and learning, testing and learning. Definitely do yourself a service and try to understand a little bit more about Google Analytics. GA has an amazing Google Analytics class. I recommend taking that as well. It's been a long time, 2 hours of me talking. But you can understand who the people are on your website, where they're leaving on your website. All of that is going to be super duper helpful. And then according to me, this is our last slide, or last super important slide. This is your digital roadmap, you guys. And your digital hierarchy, in my opinion. Your website is your most important piece of real estate on the internet. It is the make or break. But no matter how awesome your website is, you don't need to spend $50,000 on a fancy site. If there's money to be put in towards a site, I'd recommend it going in more towards search engine optimization. Okay, that's where the 200 factors that Google is looking at to make sure that it's clicking on all cylinders. Then when somebody wants something online, you guys, they're using Google to find it. You have to advertise on Google. Can you imagine not using Google at all this month? No, right? How many times have you used Google this month? 1,000, 10,000, 100,000? You're crazy if you think you can't you shouldn't be advertising on something that you use thousands of times a day, a week, a year. It's crazy. And then, like we said, email, you guys, is the jam. 40 times higher conversion rates. After that, it's paid social advertising because you're very much so targeting very specifically your different customer segments. Retargeting, once again, essential to your success in marketing because of that 250% return on investment. You've just spent so much money to get people to come to your website. Do not lose them. Get them to come back and make that conversion. And then even though it's on the bottom, I can't emphasize this enough, you guys. Do not post just to post. You need to be posting with a purpose. That is how you're going to engage, nurture, and grow your customer base. Here's a resource list provided to you by General Assembly. Some awesome stuff here. And that's it. I'll open it up for questions.
Awesome. And I do want to make sure, I'm going to share my screen actually. I do want to make sure that everyone takes a little bit of time. We do have a survey. You'll be able to find that in the YouTube description. If you see at the bottom, it should be below the form, just to tell everyone about your experience today. We do really appreciate you doing that. Like I said, YouTube description at the bottom of below the form that you are using for questions above. And thank you everyone for coming. I guess popping into a couple more questions. We'll just do about 2 more and then we'll like wrap, I think. Okay. But is there a good open rate for an email campaign, especially for testing with A/B testing?
There are average open rates depending on your industry and what you're trying to do. Honestly, I would just Google like average open rates and find out what they are for your particular industry. I mean, if you only have 100 customers, you could have an open rate that is ridiculously high, because you're not sending it to that many people. So like in my Brewers Guild, which is very small, I might have 100% open rate, which isn't likely. But yeah, open rates usually, 10% or so, maybe even less. Really, it's that subject line that is going to make the difference. People have to value your email. So what is it that you're sending them that's going to add value to their life? Not your company, to their life.
Right. And then also about like getting it, like making sure your emails are actually getting to your customers. So making sure that you're not getting spammed. I know like with MailChimp, sometimes that like they will just go straight to the spam folder. So how do you kind of make sure that's not happening?
There's a couple different things you can do, and this is a pretty popular question as well. One is actually start paying money to MailChimp. When you're not paying money to MailChimp, they basically just send them all out at once. And then when it goes to Gmail, Gmail's like, whoa, this email just went out to 100,000 people or 1 million people. I'm putting it straight into the junk. Whereas when you start paying money, it gives you the ability to parse out those emails. A way around that, if you don't want to pay the money, is to create, once again, segmented lists and say, I'm sending this list of 100 people, and maybe you have, I don't know, 100 different lists, and say, okay, every 10 minutes, these emails, it's going to take more time, but it's also free to do, because that's how MailChimp works, and most email service providers, they just dump them all at once.
Right. That's good to know. And then also people are asking a little bit about different ways that you can like manage your social media. Is there something like similar to Hootsuite, or what do you recommend for a good
Yeah,
social
I mean, Sprout Social is great, but it's really expensive. Hootsuite works really well as well, especially if you're just starting up. That'll allow you to post on numerous platforms all at the same time. Facebook is very full of themselves, and they have a deal with Sprout Social. Most of the time, if I'm doing anything, I do it directly on Facebook just to appease them and make them happy. But you can schedule things weeks, months, even years in advance. So I don't wake up every day when I'm creating content for my clients and figure out what that is. I'm creating a content calendar. And then for some companies, it's getting that information approved. It has to go through legal for other clients. And then I'm posting it and scheduling it weeks, if not multiple weeks in advance. But I'm figuring out what my content is way before that.
Thank you. And let's see, we'll do like one more. Also, could you throw your resource slide back on the screen just so people can see that? It's going to be in the deck. We will share the recording in the deck after this. You'll be receiving that via email for everyone.
And my contact information is in there as well. Maybe not the best idea to share it with 10,000 people, but I'm fine with it. My website's down. I'm happy to help out big companies, small companies, and everyone in between. But it's kind of like being a landscape designer and having a crappy looking yard. I'm a digital marketer with a bad looking website. But I'm working on it. I had lots of time here in COVID area.
Let's see. The last one I think will end on.
The shirt is from Marshalls, you guys, if that's what the last question.
Like,
yes, I haven't gotten a haircut since March. Besides, yes, but.
Sorry. How do you define a post that has purpose if you're posting every day? So I guess how do those loop into your larger campaigns?
Sure. So this is coming up with a content calendar. And this is creating various areas where you're going to create content. So we create things called content buckets, where it's literally, this is going to be the theme of a specific bucket of information. So even though the time is changing, like it could be the holiday season, your content buckets aren't going to change. So one of those buckets could be sales. Another one of those buckets could be industry information. Another one of those buckets could be education. Another one of those buckets could be testimonials, so that no matter what, you can always pull out different types of content from your individual buckets. I'm going to try to teach a class on copywriting and content at some point in time. I'll talk to the GA people. But it's a super popular question. Try to figure out as many different types of contents that you can think of. And different themes, like those 4 themes are pretty good to get started with. And then you can even tier them based, like every Tuesday is Testimonial Tuesday. You guys, people love what other people think. And they want to know what that stuff is. Everyone should be doing testimonials. Video testimonials are even better.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good one to end on. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you everyone for joining in today. We really appreciate it. And again, I'm just going to share my screen to share that survey link. Like I said, it is at the bottom of the YouTube channel. If you didn't see that before, it's at the bottom.
Please take the survey, you guys, because that's going to tell them that you really liked me or my shirt or this class or all of those things. That's basically how I get graded for this. So yes, if you have a couple extra seconds, it's usually not a long survey. I think last time it's like 5 multiple choice questions. Is he good looking? Yes. Did you have a great time? Yes. You know, all of those important things.
Yes. And thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate you being a part of our Free Friday campaign. It means a lot to us that you came out for this, and keep an eye on the classes that we have coming up. You will be receiving segmented emails. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys.
Awesome.
Stay safe.
Bye.